Hello and welcome to ThePrint. Today we have a very special guest with us, the chairman, Madhu Pandit Dasa, the chairman of ISKCON Bangalore. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Wonderful. So the Supreme Court overturned an order by the Karnataka High Court and ruled in favor of ISKCON Bangalore.
Right.
Marking the end to a very long, 2-decade-old legal battle.
Right.
So, just for us to get started, can you, for our viewers, just explain to us the teachings and the philosophy on which ISKCON Bangalore functions?
Right. The ISKCON was founded by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada. And he is coming in the tradition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 500 years back. This Bhakti school of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada at the age of 70, he went to America in 1966. Single-handedly, he spread this universal message of Krishna consciousness all over the world within a span of just 12 years. And the essential teachings of ISKCON is spreading the consciousness of Krishna as it is there in the Bhagavad Gita and of course in Srimad Bhagavatam also. And its application in the form of worshipping the Lord as chanting His names. So therefore it's called Hare Krishna movement. The basis of the entire Krishna consciousness movement is the power in chanting the holy names of the Lord. It can bring about transformation of heart because as per the scriptures, this name of the Lord is a very potent sound which can bring about a positive transformation in a person who chants. Like the mode of goodness, the lower modes are conquered and you go in the mode of goodness. Then of course, beyond that, to develop love for God, the universal God. Prabhupada did not present Krishna to the world as a Hindu God. He presented Krishna as Krishna himself speaks in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He says, I am the Lord of all the worlds. Suhridam Sarvabhutana. That means I am the friend of all living entities. So that is the universality of the message of Krishna consciousness that Srila Prabhupada spread. That is the reason people, irrespective of whether they are before Hindus or Christians or even Muslims, they appreciate the universality of the message of Bhagavad Gita. And that's how they are, he could attract people from all over the world.
And now, of course, what we have is, this is a global movement.
Yes.
And in India itself, there are various sort of chapters various, almost individual movements.
Right.
So can you now explain to us what separates ISKCON Bangalore from, say, an ISKCON Bombay or another
Delhi,
ISKCON?
You see, Prabhupada, he wanted a particular structure in which this movement should grow. He didn't want a centralized organization with a lot of bureaucracy and all those things. Because ultimately each of these temples will be handling men and money, resources and all those properties. So very intelligently Prabhupada, he gave a structure of how ISKCON should expand. So for that in 1972, Srila Prabhupada actually wrote a letter to the whole society. Two things he said. Do not centralize anything. Each temple must remain independent and self-sufficient. Do not think in this way of big corporation, big credit centralization. And he said, no, never mind. There may be botheration to register each center. Take tax certificate each. Become separate corporations in each state. This will train men how to do things, and they shall develop reliability and responsibility. That is a point. So this is the structure for the entire movement. If you take in US itself, the more than about 70 incorporations in different states. They're all independent. And in India, Bombay is one registration. Bangalore also in 1978 has registered as a society, separate society. Whereas the other temples in India, they are not registered as a separate society. However, they are also acting as independent as Bangalore. For the sake of accounts and income tax, they are sending it to Bombay. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, all centers are self-sufficient. It's not that one center will control the funds of the other center. It's not that Bombay will control the funds of the other centers. No, that doesn't happen. Just for the sake of income tax facility, all other centers, they send their accounts to Bombay. Now, we were also sending accounts to Bombay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what happened? What changed things? This is the structure of, the ISKCON Bengaluru, separate registered society, Bombay, separate registered society. Following every other temple, we also in one place, we send the accounts. They were consolidating as all India accounts. Even Bombay was giving those accounts to all India accounts. Then the whole dispute, how it began, how it got linked up with the legalities. Now I told you each center is independent. At the same time, Prabhupada created a governing body, international governing body of the leaders of all these centers, not necessarily presidents, higher level leaders, everybody, sannyasis and all. He created and he called that as the ultimate, uniting body for all these centers. So the main function of that governing body commission, it is called governing body commission, was to ensure that Prabhupada's teachings are followed in all these centers if they have to use the ISKCON brand. So they protected the ISKCON brand in terms of ensuring that in all the ISKCON centers, the teachings of Srila Prabhupada is implemented as it is. And there are no deviations. There are standards for deity worship, whether that is happening according to that. And of course, all the other things like, accounting and all those things, accountability for the money that we collect, all those things, they're like a watchdog. Okay. So they're not directly involved in any management.
So then how did this become, a land dispute that has
I will tell you.
Yes.
So what happens? So GBC is the highest body. It's an international body. Prabhupada attained Mahasamadhi in the year 1977. He left his body in 1977. So in 1977, 3 months before he left, he gave a system how in future people, youngsters who join or outside congregation who associate with the ISKCON movement, how they will get Diksha or initiation, spiritual initiation. Till then Prabhupada was giving everybody mala, name, you are my disciple, you are initiated. Now Prabhupada in 77 when he was, he was sick at that time. So the GBC, the governing body, they met together and they prepared some questions to Prabhupada after you're no longer with us, how certain things will happen. So they went to Prabhupada. He was in his, sick bed. They asked Srila Prabhupada how Diksha should go on in ISKCON, whose disciples they'll be later in future, who is coming after you're no longer there with us. And Prabhupada, he said that I will appoint some of you to act as officiating acharyas. This is the answer he gave immediately to the question for future. So then what happened was he gave a list of 11 names, and then he gave in writing that, and he signed it also, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This letter, following this letter or not following this letter, became the center of dispute from the year 1977. One group of devotees all over the world, they felt that we should, some of them felt that this is a temporary arrangement till he left the body.
Okay.
So after that, we'll be like Prabhupada.
Oh, okay. So,
whereas the other group said, no, in this letter, Prabhupada says, henceforward, this is a system, everybody will be his disciples. Those who give mala are called Ritviks. So, there was a schism. Many individuals raised this question who were very older disciples. You can't do this, whatever Prabhupada said, we should follow. And in ISKCON, there will always be Prabhupada's disciples. Okay. But what happened is, these 11 people who were given names to become Ritviks, they self-declared as acharyas. And they divided the world into 11 zones. And in each place, they became mini Prabhupada. They took up his position.
but his instructions were always there and they were very clear cut.
In writing. The instruction is there in
And can
writing.
you also tell us how you got access to the original letter by him? Because as we know that it was also missing for some time, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So could you tell us that story?
No, initially what happened was, for the entire movement, these 11 people, they didn't reveal this letter. They practically said that we have been appointed. So everybody believed, because the highest body, they are the people who are in the governing body, these gurus, acharyas. So everybody believed that. But then what happened was, over the time, these 11 people who declared themselves of acharyas, 1980, 81, 83, 85, 86, they fell like pins. In the sense, fell off the grace, left the movement.
Okay.
Because in our system of spiritual system, it's a very high position, Acharya. Guru is a very high position. Where do you get that? From Prabhupada's books, from his teachings. So the followers they put so much faith in this person. Now he's like next Prabhupada, like that. And then you found they are, fallen down in grace. Because we follow 4 regulative principles, that is the foundation of Krishna consciousness. No intoxication, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling. These people got involved in all this. And who were claiming to be acharyas. So there was a revolution, internal revolution within ISKCON. That time these things came out, you were never appointed. Then some of the people said, no, you forget about that. You follow all these things. Let's follow the letter as Prabhupada has given. You act as Ritviks. Let them all, those initiated will be Prabhupada's disciples. You're not acharyas, you're Ritviks. So at that time, the problem was not solved in 87 also. Those who rebelled against this, they joined with these balanced people and said, no, we are not big acharyas, we are small gurus. They came down. Still they didn't follow this. They said, no, we have to be gurus. So then, as far as Bangalore was concerned, so many individuals like this, they opposed. Over the time, what happened? when individuals suppose they cannot withstand the organization's force, they were expelled. Many senior leaders were expelled. Either you follow this guru system, if you're talking about this Ritvik system, you will be out.
So the power had completely changed.
Yes.
So it was a power struggle
Power
in
struggle.
effect.
Yeah. So they pushed them out. Then finally, in 1999, ISKCON Bangalore as an institution stood up and said, you have to follow this.
But how did you know not to follow the teachings of the acharyas, or what was being spoken?
What was going on?
Yeah, how did you
Then
know
I saw
that
this
it
letter.
was- and how did you find the letter?
I found one of the person's devotees, just while discussing, he told that actually this system is not an authorized system. Because I was part of that system.
Okay, yeah.
I was part of the system. In the sense, I was taken Diksha from one of the 11.
Okay.
That way I was part of the system.
Okay.
So I was a strict adherent to their system. But when I read this, that Prabhupada had not authorized them. Plus the fact that a question was always going on in my mind. If Prabhupada has appointed these people, how did he do this mistake? People who are unqualified, who had fallen from grace like this, is such a big thing to be an acharya. So I had this doubt whether Prabhupada really appointed or not. When I saw this letter, I said, got it. I'm going to get behind it. Then I went to the International GBC. I asked for an audience in Mayapur. There I presented this. We have gone astray from Prabhupada's teachings, his instruction for initiation. Better late than never. Let us implement this. The very next day, the International GBC expelled me from ISKCON.
Okay.
So then I came back to Bangalore, and this temple is, separately registered here. So they have no control over removing me like that.
Yeah. So then how did you decide to take legal recourse?
Yeah. So what happened is, Bombay is a registered society. Bombay started, they thought if they claim this as a branch, they can remove us. It's not about me. All the hundreds of devotees in this temple, they all wanted to follow this. So they wanted to remove us. So they suspended us. The legal entity from Bombay suspended us in pursuance of the International GBC. So then we, being a separately registered society, we filed a suit against Bombay that you have no right over this temple. In this temple, we will implement this from now onwards. And because
So it was never really about the land itself, about the land that you were sitting on. Okay.
Yeah. This fight was for those who want to follow this faith to remain in ISKCON. Whereas International GBC, they are the accused and the judges. Okay. They are the accused and the judge. They are in that group only they are become acharyas. So we are opposing them. So they threw us out, expelled us. So this time, till 1999, so many individuals have raised their voice against this, but they were pushed out. This time they failed. We got a court order. From then we are implementing this system last 25 years in this temple. Meantime, what happened? So we got the interim order that they cannot interfere.
Yeah.
So our temple was running without any disturbance. Then in the High Court it went against us.
Then it was overturned.
Then we got a stay again. An interim order was again in our favor from the Supreme Court. Then the case went on, and now we got the finality declaring that this property belongs to a registered society in Bombay.
And now that, now all of this appears to have, come to an end, the Supreme Court has given its verdict. Now, what does it mean for, say, the material sort of functioning of, ISKCON Bangalore, for your devotees? In the sense that when this legal battle was going on, was there also, say, devotees who were thinking that, perhaps this is not the most legitimate ISKCON? So how did the legal battle sort of impact you?
Yeah, you see, in functioning, as I told you, each temple is independent.
Yeah.
Being independent, this theological aspect of the fight did not go into the outside world. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, as far as our followers outside are concerned, our inside devotees are concerned, they were very happy to follow this system of initiation, Diksha. Another thing that happened was, normally what happens, each ISKCON has a jurisdiction. Bombay has a jurisdiction, Bombay. Your temple has, you preach here. Delhi as in Delhi, in different places, different cities. So ISKCON Delhi does not go to Bombay and start doing preaching, or ISKCON Bangalore doesn't go any other area. But now that we wanted to implement this system, ISKCON Bangalore started going all over India and opening centers. And today we have about 52 temples under Bangalore ISKCON group. Okay. So there outside Bangalore, we were functioning as Hare Krishna movement. So that we don't confuse people with the other ISKCON.
Okay.
But now with this Supreme Court verdict, we have the same right on the ISKCON brand as much as Bombay.
So it's not really about, again, the land.
No, it's not about the land.
Yeah. And, but now, say what we, so many of us, we just see what we've been reading, in the news. And now we've also seen that at one point, ISKCON Bombay, ISKCON Mumbai referred to ISKCON, Bangalore as one of its branches.
Yes.
So, how do you sort of manage this kind of, conjecture? Because at the end of the day, it is also about your public relations.
That conjecture has come to an end.
Yes, exactly.
Supreme Court has said it's not a branch.
For all of these decades, it was kind of ongoing. So what was that management like?
That management, the Supreme Court as well as High Court, Trial Court, interim order was always in our favor. That means from 2001 till today, Bombay could not interfere with our functioning at all. So we always had interim protection from the government that the present management was always continuing all along. Plus, the Supreme Court had put a oversight committee headed by Justice Ravindran, retired Supreme Court judge. And they were overseeing, at a very top, high level, they were overseeing. And that's all. Otherwise, we are unaffected.
Unaffected.
Battles were going on in the court, but our work was going on. In fact, Akshaya Patra started in the 2001.
Very true.
2000. So the entire growth of Akshaya Patra is in this 25 years.
And now today, you would say that, Akshaya Patra is what you are, in many ways, what you are known for, right? That has
all over India.
Yeah, all over India. And that has also sort of introduced you to a different sort of section, even a non-devotee section, for example, would know about, Akshaya Patra. So, can you tell us about those foundations? Because is it also about, say, ensuring that, people know about you, ensuring that your outreach is, as vast as possible. Can you tell us about that? Just outreach.
Before 2000, in India, ISKCON had not taken up any kind of social initiative. They mostly were building temples and not really taken up any mission for the class of people who have basic needs. That was not there. Akshaya Patra was the first initiative of ISKCON all over India, where this kind of outreach began, where, to end classroom hunger, we started feeding 5 schools surrounding this temple. Then it expanded from 1,500 children to today we are doing 23 lakh children.
Today you're doing 23 lakh
23 lakh children.
And this is daily?
Daily.
23 lakh children.
And we have we have 72 kitchens all over India and many union territories. So Akshaya Patra has become its largest NGO in the country. We do midday meal. And that actually in this 25
Yeah.
years, ISKCON Bangalore has contributed a lot in building the brand of ISKCON
Building the brand,
all over
yes.
India. Otherwise, it was always known as, rich people's organization. What they are doing for common man.
Yeah.
What are they doing for common man? This was a question.
Yeah, this has actually long been something that
Long
people have said about
said
ISKCON,
about
you know, that it is too international, that
Right,
it's not rooted in,
Right.
you know, people. And now again, but of course, at the same time that we know, you know, even your temple in Bangalore, you know, it's a beautiful temple.
Right.
And there, you know, you have artwork, it's very ornate. And that, of course, you know, takes a lot. And ISKCON does have some, you know, extremely, you know, well-known donors. So how do you sort of, you know, again, keep, as they say, you know, the shop up and running? Because, say, with Akshay Patra, what you're doing, it's also an enormous amount of funds that are
Yes,
needed,
yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
could you tell us about that, you know, how you kind of keep the finances up and running?
You see, there is one interesting principle that we are following in the footsteps of Prabhupada. He went to America penniless and he created everything for Krishna.
Yeah.
So in the same way, when Akshay Patra also began with 1,500 children, I was also, you know, after feeding 1,500 children, I got so many requests from so many schools. And on this table, a file for request for 1 lakh children, you know, was staring at me every day when I came and said. So I had no confidence that because once you start, you cannot stop. So what is a recurring fund required to feed this many kids? Somehow or the other, you see, it is that spiritual faith that the Lord will provide, which Prabhupada has told. Our inspiration is Prabhupada. He said, feed any number of people, Krishna will send. No limit. Feed the hungry. So that inspiration from Prabhupada, that, you know, that spiritual faith is there in the Guru.
Yeah.
So that has propelled, and today you see last year's total funding for feeding was almost 750 crores.
750
Yeah.
crores. Wow.
Out of that, we have got about 350 from the government. Rest we have raised.
Oh, okay.
Fundraising.
So it's a like private-public partnership.
It's a public-private partnership.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're taking part in the government midday meal scheme. So, and it's an example of a very successful model. In a large scale, we are participating with the government and corporates who funds kitchen and all those things. So it's happening. So one of the main reasons that Akshay Patra is able to attract the funds is because of its transparency and accountability. The way the organization is structured. The Akshay Patra Foundation is registered as a separate foundation, secular foundation.
Okay.
Nothing to do with ISKCON as such. This case, whatever would have happened, it will not have affected.
Akshay Patra would have remained intact.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the kitchens is in this premises. That's all.
Yeah.
The other is 71 kitchens are in different parts of India.
But I mean, since, you know, you have been mentioning, you know, the building of the ISKCON brand and the retention of the ISKCON brand. Now, Akshay Patra, would you say, is also, you know, has been part of that brand? Would you not say? Has it?
Yeah, because you see, when Akshay Patra started, it started by us. ISKCON.
Yeah.
Where would you go for the funds? ISKCON donors.
ISKCON donors, yes.
So ISKCON donors laid the foundation for this foundation, even though it is a separate foundation. So that you see, people, so many devotees are there. Some people like to give for Akshay Patra, some people give for festivals, some people give for Annadana in this temple. Like that, you know, multiple avenues of giving donation is available for a donor.
And, you know, as you're saying that, and I think it's very much in the public domain, that ISKCON has, you know, some extremely successful, extremely wealthy donors and across, you know, various industries, various sectors.
Right.
And at the same time, then of course, we also know that it's very much a global movement.
Right.
So what do you think has been done that allows ISKCON to be, you know, so universally applicable, that there are so many people who ostensibly would be so different, but somehow that they're all sort of immersed in, you know, the teachings or in the temple movement.
Yeah, because behind the ISKCON movement is a books of Prabhupada. That's uniting us, the teachings of Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita. How Prabhupada has explained the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So unless Krishna, see, common thing is what? For everybody in we are lovers of Krishna. That unites us. That unites us. In fact, you should just see, after the Supreme Court victory, in my victory speech, I have said, and then given in writing too, called ISKCON Bombay and the International GBC. Told them, they're not after the property. Take all our 52 temple properties under your umbrella. We have no issue. But in these 52 temples, let us be allowed to follow this Ritvik system of Diksha.
So it is ultimately the theological principles that are dictating your operations.
Yes. Yeah. So they have not come forward till now, because they're very adamant about that, because the people who take the decision, they're all acharyas and gurus.
Okay. So ultimately, I mean, as you're saying, it is about, you know, power and who wants to sort of retain that power.
No, it's not really about power. Where does power come? Power comes because one group wants to push out the others.
Yeah, no, and in the sense that there are a group of people who are really sort of now fixated on being gurus and being acharyas.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
Got it.
So that's, in effect, that's what, that's what I mean, yeah.
So anybody goes against them, they are thrown out from the temple, because they have as an apex body, they have that authority. The local centers have given that authority to them. So as far as ISKCON Bangalore is concerned, for some reason, the constitution of the ISKCON Registered Society didn't have that link with so therefore they could not implement it. Therefore they had to do, International GBC had to do this through Bombay, claiming this to be a branch. And they failed.
Yeah, exactly. And now that the Supreme Court verdict has come in, what do you expect to happen in terms of, I mean, of course, your functioning, as you mentioned, has sort of continued as is. You have your donors, you have your own resources. But now, I mean, what do you feel like, do you anticipate any kind of response, any kind of communication from the international body or from ISKCON Bombay? What is that sort of back and forth like?
Yeah, that's what I have given in writing to them, a peace proposal.
Yeah.
In our temples, you implement this.
But you have not received a response.
No, I've not received a response.
Okay. And do you expect to receive a response?
I expect to receive a response. What happened in 2013? The Supreme Court once told the lawyers, why don't you sit across and try to sort this out between yourself? Otherwise, we'll take it up. So then the two lawyers, senior lawyers, and both sides sat together. Almost 1 year, we had many meetings. And then in the end of it, the GBC said, no, we cannot accept this system of initiation. Rather, they said, some of you, senior devotees, you also become gurus. I said, you are bribing us. We are fighting against this. See, what happens is, there is another aspect to this, following this. If you follow this, ISKCON remains united under one acharya. In this case, what happens in reality, all of them will create their own camps.
So different factions of ISKCON,
yes. My disciple, the other guru will say his disciple, then another guru will this disciple. So there is actually all over the world, the ISKCON has actually become islands.
So now that what you're saying is, now that we have ISKCON as a different fragments of ISKCON, a fragmentary movement.
Right.
So how does this, impact your outreach programs and attracting followers, given that it's so spread out?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Very interesting thing. It is not only the Supreme Court has said that this property belongs to this society. They had also made another suit that this society was not authorized and defunct. But that also, 2 cases were there before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court held that no, this is active society. That means we have also a concurrent right with Bombay to use the ISKCON brand.
Yeah.
Which means our 52 centers outside the state, which are functioning as Hare Krishna movement.
Now
till
you
now.
can change.
Not as,
Yeah.
now we can change to ISKCON. So almost in every city, there will be 2 ISKCONs. This is the implication. And this ISKCON, our ISKCON, to differentiate, we also have a governing body because 20 to 52 centers have come. So we have we are following the same pattern as Prabhupada setup. Okay. These 52 also more or less independent, but there is a governing body. I'm the chairman of that governing body. So what we are planning now, the governing body has discussed, that to differentiate from them, maybe we will say ISKCON HKM, -HKM. They will continue to function as ISKCON or ISKCON Hare Krishna movement. So people will know that because we raise donation, we don't want to confuse people, that whether this ISKCON and that ISKCON, where to donate.
Yeah, exactly.
So therefore we made a differentiator will be there, but we will also be ISKCON. They'll also be ISKCON. Even otherwise in this, there is no question of ISKCON has become 2.
Yeah.
If you see in Bombay, there are so many ISKCONs.
Yeah.
There are 7, 8 ISKCONs.
And ultimately, that's why the brand value is of, utmost value.
Exactly,
that's what sort of brings people
in Delhi, there are 16 temples, ISKCON temples. They're all running individually. They're all raising funds.
So they're all separate.
All separate.
Oh.
In terms of financial management, everything is separate.
Now,
that was a very, ingenuine way, Srila Prabhupada being a great visionary. You see, they say ownership, turns sand into gold. So a sense of ownership is just like when we built this temple. Nobody told me how big the temple should be. We applied for it. We created the vision. We took the responsibility. We raised the funds from the local.
So it's like you're running your own separate business, right?
Yes, so, that entrepreneurship is there, no?
Exactly.
Is there, and that is why ISKCON is growing all over the world. There's no bureaucracy like that. There's no bureaucracy. Only for fighting this case, to throw us out, their bureaucracy came. Otherwise, even ISKCON Bangalore before 2000, nobody from Bombay interfered with us. We were running. Nobody told us how big the temple should be, you should build and all those things. All devotees in Bangalore, we put together, and all the donors from Bangalore, we built this temple. We have not taken 1 rupee from Bombay.
And now another one of your very big projects that's upcoming is the temple in Vrindavan, which is said to be, correct me if I'm wrong, the tallest
temple in the religious structure in the world.
Right? So now, and even here, the temple we are at currently, even that's been built at quite a large scale.
Right. This is one.
Yeah. So what do you think? Why is it so important to have these grand religious structures? What do you think? How do you think that attracts people or impacts them? Why this focus on having these very impressive structures?
The answer was given by Prabhupada. In those days, India was not so well off. In 77, Prabhupada built a beautiful temple in Juhu, Bombay. Full marble temple. So it was a talk of, Bombay and everywhere. It was talk. And India was not, what India is now, 1977. So some press people went to Prabhupada and said, why you spend so much money? Why such a big temple you built, such a beautiful temple? You could have done some service to, social, you could have put such money in the social initiatives. Prabhupada gave a very beautiful answer. He said, you see, if I sit in a hut, nobody will come to me. He said, if I had to, today people are after materialistic glitter. So, if I want to catch a thief, I have to run faster than him. So Prabhupada gave this example that I have to create glittering temples, I have to create one iconic structures, and then people will get attracted. And it is a fact that, many of the religions, they survive Architecture is a very big aspect of it.
That's true.
Monumental structures, they keep the teachings alive.
That's very true. I mean, we are also seeing how religion has really evolved into sort of a almost business, and that's also what keeps it intact.
Look at in India,
Yeah.
even the Britishers were ruling and Mohammedans were ruling, all these things. I would say that one is the cultural strength that Hinduism did not get, eliminated with 700 years rule, 200 years rule, British rule. How it survived? It is all these huge temples and architectures that stood. So that was the center of Vedic culture.
No, and of course, this is something we see across the world in various religions.
Various religions, yes.
Yeah.
Today, Vatican is a symbol of Catholic faith.
So is that also what you sort of envisage and what you anticipate, that this temple will be the sort of heart of your...
See, that is the reason why even designing, you see, this temple, we have, it's a fusion of modern and ancient architecture. To attract the young minds, we have to move with the times. Even this temple also.
So again, I mean, since you've mentioned this, how do you kind of attract young minds? The world has changed so much. There's the set of problems we're dealing with, young people are dealing with, are very different, say, from what previous generations have encountered. We have the internet, we have social media.
Right.
So now, how do you just induct them into the fold, and how do you get new people on board, newer, younger people?
Yeah. You see, we not only have temples. For instance, take Bangalore. All over Bangalore, we will be having at least about 25 youth centers. It's called folk centers, Friends of Lord Krishna, where students, employee, people who are in IT, all this, they can come and attend our program and get introduced, learn about this. Bangalore is so big, everybody cannot come here. So it's distributed over. So only for festivals and big things, big gatherings, they come here. Otherwise, locally they are being trained. See, the thing is, youth is looking for, forget about youth. Everybody is looking for happiness. Okay. So they need to get the path of happiness.
Yeah.
So, and Bhagavad Gita is a path of happiness. And Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is a very powerful way of bringing about peace, happiness, and receiving the blessings of the Lord for prosperity in life, whatever it may be. Even if it is material prosperity. We believe that God's grace is required for both spiritual growth and material growth. So, and people youngsters who associate with us, they're able to experience the reciprocation from Krishna.
And I mean, our last question, what is the age group like? So when you say young people, what age is it? Are they adolescents, children, young adults in their 20s? What is the age group?
No, mostly it is just after graduation.
Just after graduation.
We also insist that if you want to join as a full-time, you please finish your graduation. So finish your graduation, maybe work 1 year outside, and then you come and join as a full-time volunteer. Just like I joined, at the age of 23. Right from IIT Bombay, I walked straight into the ISKCON temple.
And why was that? I mean, again, right, this I'm sure something you get asked also, because people would see IIT Bombay and ISKCON as two completely disparate worlds. Right. So how did you sort of...
No, but when I was in IIT, I was looking for what is the ultimate truth. So then I was reading philosophy, all those things went into that direction. Then I could not find answers after a lot of search. Then when I came to Prabhupada's teachings, the way he explained Bhagavad Gita, I mean, I had tried to read Bhagavad Gita so many times. But the way he explained it in a very simple way, I was surprised that this is such a sublime message of God. I got completely attracted to it.
Mm.
And then I thought that if I do anything in my life, my call is to serve Krishna consciousness.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So on that note, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.